Well, we've had the Glock 19, the Glock 17, and now Umrex are going Glock mad with the Glock 22. And guess what I have in my dainty little mitts? Hello and welcome to AAR On Air. I've heard people worry about so many things recently. We seem to be living in troubled times. The latest thing is we're running the risk of being taken over by AI. It seems everything has artificial intelligence built into it these days. Mrs. AAR refuses to go near the toaster anymore. Me, I think it's Glocks we should be worried about. They seem to be multiplying at an astounding rate. 22s, 19s, 17s, different generations, BBs or pellets. The studio seems to have them popping up all over the place. It's a bit like shooting magpies. You shoot one and two more come to the funeral. Get rid of a Glock and two more turn up. Scary. I sometimes wonder why Glocks. Then I look at the viewing figures. When I review a Glock replica, even a not so good one, I can see there is a real desire for these. I recently reviewed the Glock 17 Gen 4 and I started to understand the attraction. So, this Glock has got a lot to prove really. The Walkaround then. Yes, it's a Glock. It's square, it's black, with those unmistakable Glock markings, quite definite yet discreet, which I like. The top is metal, with the built-in open, non-adjustable sights. Note I said top rather than slider, because it doesn't slide, that is. It's a non-blowback, so should be good for higher feet per second and better accuracy maybe, but we'll check that later. The sights have the familiar markings for clarity and in dim lighting situations. The bottom is plastic but feels pretty solid. And when I say bottom, I pretty much mean everything south of that top rail. Grip, trigger guard, trigger, etc. There is that familiar bottom rail under the front of the gun with the secondary safety, which is nice and clear with its red or white dots, but it does need fingernails to use, and of course this thing becomes utterly useless if anything is fitted to that bottom rail. This particular Glock is quite front heavy and doesn't carry much of its weight in the grip, even when loaded up with BBs and gas. The Dropout 19 round magazine is a nice simple design with a lock open spring and a separate hole to load the BBs. Loading the CO2 is partly like some of the Sig Sauer pistols, in as much as the rear of the grip pops up and you slot in the CO2, but you tighten with the bottom screw. Closing the back of the handle does not pierce the CO2 as it does in some of the SIGs. The magazine then nicely hides the screw. So, no hex keys to lose. Because this is a non-blowback, you lose some of that feel, along with any field stripping action as well. Now the trigger has quite a weight to it at £7 because it's operating all the mechanism inside as well. So, power output. Is it more due to the non-blowback action? Well, yes it is, producing a maximum of 414 feet per second, which is 2.04 foot-pounds or 2.77 joules, using standard 5.37 grain steel BBs. The next question then is one that I've been asking quite often recently, is does it use the Dust Devils? Yes it does. They're only 4.35 grains and I saw 426 feet per second, which is 1.75 foot-pounds. or 2.38 joules. So, more powerful than the blowback Glocks I've been testing recently, and enough for a spot of plinking, but not much more. Accuracy. Let's take a look, shall we? Out at the usual 8 metre range. Not bad, not the best I've used, and of course taking into consideration the sights are all fixed again, a sighting aid would definitely help here. Either that or practice. Action wise, well, there isn't a lot to show because there's no blowback. Conclusion then. Well, apart from starting to feel a little glocked out recently, it is another close looking replica of the Glock 22. So if it's looks you want, then it fits that requirement. No problem. If it's overall experience, feel and fun you want, then it has to be the Glock 17 Gen 4. No question. For now. Right, I'm off to Draper's now to take these Glocks back. I'm just wondering if any more are likely to appear in the studio whilst I'm gone. Thanks for watching.